Hi, everyone. Welcome to BBB Trust Talks. My name is Carla Laird. I'm the Manager for Community and Public Relations at BBB serving mainland BC. My co-host and event facilitator for today is Prerna Sharma, and she's our Marketing and Events Coordinator.
Hi, everyone. Happy Small Business Month.
We are now in the final week of our Small Business Month celebrations, as well as on the final leg of our BBB Trust Talks series. Today, we look forward to our 9th episode in our limited interview series, and we are excited about the conversation we have lined up for you today. If this is your first time watching BBB Trust Talks, welcome to our online community. For the entire month of October, we have been connecting with some of our accredited small business owners across the province to learn about their businesses, hear about their experiences as entrepreneurs, and find out more about the teams that support their day-to-day operations. To catch up on the last 8 episodes, just search Better Business Bureau serving mainland BC on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube for unlimited access to all the previous recordings. Today, we will be featuring Shylo Home Healthcare, a senior home care business based in North Vancouver. Joining us to share more about the company is Margot Ware. Hi, Margot. Welcome to BBB Trust Talks, and thanks for taking the time to chat with us today.
Well, good afternoon, and thank you so much for this opportunity. I really appreciate it. It's just another fabulous thing that the BBB has to offer its accredited businesses, and I really appreciate the chance to talk with you today.
Awesome. So, Margot, the first thing we always do when we connect with our guests is to learn a little bit about who they are. So why don't you start things off by introducing yourself to our viewers?
Certainly, thank you. Well, my name is Margot Ware, and I'm a registered nurse, and I'm the current owner of Shylo Home Healthcare. And the funny thing is, I'm actually a third-generation nurse. My mom was a nurse, and her mom was a nurse, and her dad was a doctor. So from the time I was born, I was pretty much told, you're going to be a nurse. And I kept insisting, no, I'm not. This is the 1970s. Women have options today. I don't have to be a nurse or a teacher. So I went in a totally different direction towards the financial field. But then my own mother got sick. So being the only girl in the family, I naturally quit what I was doing and stayed home to take care of her, which was fabulous. It was one of the biggest honors of my life. And all the bells and whistles went off. Ding, 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 ding. This is what I need to be doing. So towards the end of my mom's illness, I needed a little bit of support. So that's when we reached out to Shylo, because one of the nurses my mom knew from nursing school was working there. So Shylo became involved in my life and has obviously been a very big influence.
Wow, that's great to hear.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurship is an exciting and scary adventure. It pulls on all of your time and resources, and because of that, many women don't usually choose to start a business or probably even buy one, even if it's something that they are passionate about, right? Why did you decide to become an entrepreneur?
Well, actually, it wasn't me deciding as much as the opportunity was presented to me. As I mentioned, I met Shylo when my own mom was sick, and then I decided to pursue nursing, so went to BCIT and was working on my nursing. Shylo stayed in my life as they helped care for my grandfather, who needed some help after that. And then I was only 21 actually when my parents passed away, and so the owner and founder of Shylo, Betty, became like a second mother to me, which was just wonderful. And I worked for Shylo. I started as a companion, and then I became a home support worker, and then eventually a registered nurse. And when Betty was thinking about her own succession plan, she approached me, because at that point I'd been with the company probably 7 or 8 years, and she said, Margot, once you have about 5 or 7 years of nursing experience, would you be interested in taking over the company? And I was just thrilled. I'd grown to love the company, and I knew when I went into nursing that I didn't really want to work in the hospital. I enjoyed community nursing, and I really enjoy senior care because you get to spend so much time with the clients. And I believe that is why so many of us go into nursing. It's not about running around in the hospital where you don't have time, but in community, you really get to make a difference. And I just love that about Shylo.
Well, as you mentioned, Shylo, I think one of the things I've always wanted to know is, especially since you inherited the company almost,
Yes.
or took it on, why not change the name? Why did you decide to keep that name?
Well, I mean, it's really to honor Betty Brown, who started the company. And it's funny because sometimes, well, quite often actually, I get asked, where did the name of the company come from? And I always say, well, there's two stories. There's the interesting story, and then there's the true story. So the true story is that when Betty was founding the company, her first grandchild had been born, and her first grandchild's middle name was Shylo, which actually comes from the Neil Diamond song, Shylo. So that's where the name actually comes from. But the interesting story is after she'd been in business for about 3 or 4 years, one Sunday, one of her nurses called her very excited and said, Betty, I just got back from church. And the minister this morning did a talk, and he talked about Shylo. And he said that according to the Bible, Shylo is a place between heaven and earth that provides comfort for people with a terminal illness. And I mean, that's just amazing. So that's the interesting story, but it's not the true story. The true story is it's named after the founder's grandchild.
Well, it's awesome that you have more than one story to share with whoever.
That's right. And again, it's just to honor her. I mean, she started the business, and she was obviously a very, very important person in my life. In fact, a few years ago, she unfortunately had end-stage kidney disease. And so I had the honor of nursing her in her own home. And so she managed to pass away in her home, surrounded by her friends and family that she loved. And that's what, Shylo was formed to do this. The reason Betty actually started the company was because back in the 70s, there was no hospice, there was no respite care. And if you had a terminal illness and you didn't have a daughter or a daughter-in-law to take care of you, you had to go in the hospital, and you'd be in a random bed on a random ward. So she had a neighbor that approached her and said, will you support me to stay at home for the rest of my days? And she did. And then another neighbor approached her. So after she'd been doing this about 2 years, she went to a lawyer and said, I think I'm running a business. And he said, oh, you certainly are. So that's how Shylo started, was to support people who want to stay in their home. And 40 years later, we're still doing it.
That's amazing.
Wow. Both stories are so heartwarming. I think I like both.
Well, and I always say it's an honor and a privilege to be invited into people's homes. Sometimes in some very challenging times, we do palliative care and terminal care. We deal with clients with dementia, and we're there to support the families as much as we're there to support the clients.
Yeah, absolutely. Have to agree with you there. Following up on these amazing stories, what would you say has contributed to the success and endurance of your small business?
Well, I think, this is just my belief. We've focused on taking care of our community. I mean, we've been around for 40 years. So the first 15 years, Betty didn't really even have to advertise because there wasn't much competition. We were the only ones on the North Shore and one of only 3 in the Lower Mainland. Recently, that has changed. There's a lot of big American franchises moving into the market. And we were approached to franchise several times over the years, but I always made the decision to say no, because I would rather have control. We always say we're big enough to take care of any healthcare need, but we're small enough that we know all of our staff and all of our clients. So if you call us after hours, it's one of us that answers the phone. Taking care of one of your loved ones, and you drop by on a Sunday afternoon and you think, gee, Dad isn't looking so well, you pick up the phone and you call us, and you actually talk to us. And I'm a registered nurse. Sarah, our nursing supervisor, is also a registered nurse. So you can, and it's part of our service. You can talk to a nurse. We'll come out and see your mom or dad, and we probably know what's going on, and we probably know what your concern is and can address you and walk you through it.
Right.
Yeah. So I think that's what's kept us successful, is really just doing what we do, doing it well, and just focusing on doing it in our community. We're not trying to be all things to all people. We don't want to spread across Canada. It may not be the best business decision, but it's how we like to, I often say, if you're going to be in the nursing business, I think you should be a nurse.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's nice. I'm very interested to learn about the growth of this business over the last 40 years. Can you share with us what products and services you offered and the areas you served when the business just started compared to what you offer and your service areas now?
Certainly. When we first started, again, it was Betty Brown in the late 70s. She lived in the North Shore, so she mostly had clients just on the North Shore. And then what would happen is a client would say, well, can you please take care, my sister-in-law needs some help and she lives in Vancouver, or I've told my good friend in Burnaby. So over the years, we've spread out a little bit. We still don't go south of the Fraser. And the reason we don't do that is because, as I said, we're on call 24/7, and it's a little bit selfish. We don't really want to be driving out to Chilliwack or Abbotsford on a Sunday afternoon, and it would take us a while to get there. So we focused on the Vancouver, Burnaby, North Shore, Richmond. That's the area we serve. And our services, in the beginning, the company was originally called Shylo Nursing Services because it was all registered nurses. That's changed over the years, mostly, to be honest, because of finances. 40 years ago, people could afford registered nurses. Today, not so much. And plus, there's a lot of things that our home support workers can do today that you don't need a nurse. 40 years ago, if we were managing pain with a client at home, they may be receiving injections. Thank God, for so many reasons, we don't do that anymore. So we have liquid medications, we have patches, we can even manage subcutaneous medications if necessary. So what we have today is Sarah and I are registered nurses, but our staff are home support workers. Now, many of them have trained as nurses in other countries, or they're working on their nursing in this country, but they're very, very dedicated. We have some employees that have been with us 10, 12, 15 years, and we're blessed to have wonderful clients and employees. And the only thing we've really expanded to was about 5 years ago, we added a driving service, and that's called Rides by Shylo. And again, it was just a response to requests from our clients. Clients would phone and say, well, we know you, we trust you, we're comfortable dealing with one company. Can you please send a caregiver with a vehicle to drive me here, or pick me up from daycare, surgery, or take me shopping? And we just didn't have enough caregivers with vehicles available because they're in very high demand. Right. So I made the decision to get a vehicle and expand a little bit. So now when our clients, or even people that aren't our clients, want the comfort of a caregiver taking them to the appointment, we can offer that service.
I love how you guys have pivoted over the years, or at least expanded and based on your consumer needs. And it speaks to the fact that you care on a different level.
I hope so. I hope so. Yeah. Again, we are nurses, and I think most of us got into nursing because we enjoy caring for people, and that's what Shylo is all about. We really do care about the people in our community, and we are a local business. We're again, not to dump on franchises, but we're not a franchise, so we support our community. We support the local hospital and their foundation. We support the libraries. We support the cops that ride for cancer. We support things in our community because we're so proud to be part of this wonderful community. I mean, the community's been wonderful to me. This is where I grew up. This is where I live and raise my family. And like I say, it's an honor to be able to support and give back to the community.
That's amazing. One of the things that consumers are watching out for right now is, how businesses are actively working to keep them safe.
Mm-hmm.
Now, so considering the fact that the nature of this particular business is to care for the elderly who are particularly vulnerable to COVID-19, what are some measures that Shylo Home Healthcare has actually implemented to help keep both the staff and customers safe?
Oh, that's a great question. I mean, like anybody in healthcare, we were scrambling a little bit, to be honest, last February and March, because the information was coming out so quickly, and sometimes we were getting different messages from different people. But, I have to give Dr. Bonnie Henry and the CDC credit. I mean, they really got the information out to us fairly quickly. And so our responsibility is to cipher through all of that information, find out what's pertinent to our staff, pertinent to our clients, and communicate it to them. So that's what we did as fast as we could. We put in some new policies and procedures, obviously, to keep our staff and our clients safe. So some of the examples are we have our staff wear a clean uniform to every shift. We have them travel in their street shoes, and then when they arrive at the client's house, they change into their duty shoes, which they've carried in a bag with them. Obviously, they wash their hands. We have a questionnaire before the staff start each shift, because we actually have a program where they log in and log out from shift, they have to answer the questions. Do you have any symptoms? Have you been around anybody? So we're making sure that every single shift, our staff and our clients are as safe as we can support them to be.
That's so important.
Yeah.
Yes.
While safety is important, like we just spoke about, consumers also look for businesses that stand out from the crowd in the marketplace. So can you tell our viewers what makes Shylo Home Healthcare unique when compared to others in the senior care industry?
Oh, certainly. I touched on it a little bit before. Again, we're nurses, and I really do believe that makes a difference, because if you look at some of our competitors, they may be very nice people, but there's some business people that bought a franchise. They hear about the silver tsunami, and so they've got into this business. But we're nurses. I mean, I'm a certified geriatric nurse. Sarah, our nursing supervisor, is also a registered nurse. And when we go out and meet a new client, it's an RN that shows up and does that assessment. And once we take on a client, whether we're with that client once a month or we're with them 24/7, one of us will go visit the client every month. And we're not, I mean, nurses are trained to do assessments. We can't turn that off. So even though we're coming in from a customer service point of view and saying, hello, Mrs. Smith, how are you doing? Is there anything, we're not doing that you'd like us to be doing? Or is there anything we are doing that you prefer we didn't do? While we're there, we're also looking around. How does Mrs. Smith look? How does she look compared to last month? Is she perhaps gaining weight? Is she retaining water? Does she have a new medication? Is her behavior different? We talk to the staff. How do you find the client? And this is all a complimentary part of our service. We don't charge for this. Again, this is what I think makes us different. So if we do have a concern, if we think it looks like Mrs. Smith is retaining some fluid and we know she has a history of congestive heart failure, we're going to get on the phone and we're going to phone the family or the doctor, and we're going to say, look, we're a bit worried. These are the steps we're instituting. We think perhaps she needs to be seen by the physician, and we can catch these things before they get out of control. And I really do believe that's something that differentiates. And again, we're available 24/7. So, if somebody drops by to see their loved one and they have a concern, they can pick up the phone and talk to me anytime.
Well, I love that you put all of that effort into taking care of every single client. Each person gets individual care and attention. Now, one of the things that consumers do mention from time to time too is that they look at businesses that give back to the community. I know you mentioned it earlier, or some of the instances, but I'd love for you to dive a little bit more into what you've actually done in the past as a way to support or give back to your community.
Well, certainly. I mean, we've been around for 40 years, so we've given to many, many, many different things over the years. Betty, for I think 25 years, gave to the United Way, and she had plaques all across her wall that she got from them. We give to some downtown East Side charities. Again, the Lionsgate Hospital Foundation, it's right across the street from us, so we're very involved in the hospital there. We love to support the foundation and the hospice, because we're so happy that there is a hospice on the North Shore now for people that choose to go there or need those services. Cops for Cancer, BC Legion, my goodness, we've given to so many people over the years. Pretty much anyone that reaches out to us, if they're part of the community, we support them as much as we can.
That's beautiful. And I hope you continue to support, many organizations out there, as you clearly are already. One of the best ways for a business to stand out is to become BBB accredited. I saw on your BBB business profile that Shylo Home Healthcare has been accredited since 2014. Take us back to that time. What was happening in the business, and why did you decide to become BBB accredited?
Why did I decide to become BBB accredited? I think you guys reached out to me, and I had to think about it and thought, why are we not accredited? And I didn't have a good answer for that. So I looked at the information that you sent me and I thought, well, this is something that it matches with our values because we do like to hold ourselves accountable. And anything that can share with our clients or future potential clients, that we do like to hold ourselves to a certain set of standards. And that's what part of what the BBB is about. Hopefully it brings a bit of peace of mind to our clients if they do have a concern, that we haven't addressed, that they have that extra step of the BBB to support them should there be a concern. And again, it just matched our values. And I thought, I don't know why we haven't been accredited before, but when you guys reached out, we signed up as soon as we could.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, being in business for 40 years is no easy task, and I'm curious to know what you would say would be your most difficult issue or challenge that you faced as a small business owner.
Gosh, I don't like to sound like a broken record, but it's competing against the big American franchises today. Because, back in the day when we started, the first 20 years, really, the medical system was set up differently. Families would have a GP, and that GP was in the hospital when the kids were born. The GP was in the hospital when you're dealing with a health crisis. And if you were at home and we were involved, the GP made health visits. So we had those connections. The GPs knew us, we talked to the GPs, the social workers in the hospital knew us because the social workers would, they'd hang around 30, 40 years before they retired. Now it's a whole different system. The GPs, most of them don't even have hospital privileges. You go in a hospital, you're seen by a hospitalist that you may have never met before. The social workers have very high turnover. And often people turn to Google. So they Google, well, we're a small local business. The fact is we just don't have the budget that a big multinational does. So when you go to Google, you actually can search our name, and two of our competitors have outbid me for my own name, So I have to rely on our local reputation, word of mouth, people that have used us, people that say, oh, I heard wonderful things about you. And when we do get a new client, like a lot of businesses, we'll ask them, how did you hear about us? And we often hear people say, well, gosh, I don't know. You guys have been around forever. I just know the name. I've heard of you. So when I started looking, even though we may be third or fourth on the Google list, our name jumped out to them because there's that recognition that we've been part of the community for so long.
That's great. Throughout the series, we've asked several business owners how they balance running a business and a family life. No answer is the same. In your case, you are on a 24-hour call for your clients. I'd love to know your formula for this struggle that many people have.
Well, I mean, I learned as I went. I must admit, in the beginning, I probably threw myself into the business a little more than I should have. And of course, when I first took over back in 1998, you couldn't remote into the office. And in the beginning, I actually had the office in my house because that's what Betty had always done. Yeah. And what I found was I would suffer from entrepreneurial guilt. As soon as I finished dinner, I'd think, oh, I've got payroll downstairs and I didn't quite finish it, or I should look into this. So I would sneak down into the basement and I'd be gone, and there wasn't a lot of family time. Then when I moved the business into the office it's in now back in 2000, I would disappear on the weekends because I would come into the office to get things done. And I realized my family kind of said to me, hey, we're not seeing very much of you. What do you care more about, us or the business? And I thought it literally took that to wake me up. So what I did is I designated family time. So I try to finish my work by 5:30. And when I go home, yes, I'm on call for emergencies, but I turn things off. And from when I get home through dinner, through maybe 8:30, 9 o'clock, that's family time. And if I have something that I need to finish up, I can luckily remote back in at 9 o'clock before I go to bed and spend half an hour and get something done. But I had to make a purposeful decision. My family is important to me, and time is slipping by, and I want to be part of watching the kids grow up and hopefully make a positive influence in their life.
Yeah, that's important.
Yeah.
So you found a way to make it work, which is great.
Well, you have to. I mean, why are we working? We're working, to support our families and our life. And there's no sense losing yourself in your business and suddenly realizing, gee, the kids are growing up, graduated college, and they've moved away, and I think I missed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another thing that I do want to bring to your attention. So, for instance, as it relates to your business, taking care of seniors, it requires a special level of attention, especially in these COVID times. We know that when we look at our seniors, they're not just old people, these are people's parents, grandparents, close friends. And now more than ever, consumers want to know that they're placing their loved ones into capable, trustworthy hands. So, with all of that in mind, what tips would you give to a consumer shopping around in your industry right now, looking for a business to help them take care of a senior in their lives?
Oh gosh, that's a great question. I mean, I guess like anything, you want to do your research and you want to ask questions, and maybe don't get, if you do the Google search and you get onto some of the big fancy websites making all kinds of claims about growth and this and that, get to know the people. And one of the questions I would ask is, well, if I'm going to entrust you to care for my loved one, how can I reach you on a weekend if there's a concern? I mean, maybe you're hiring a company to care for your loved one Monday to Friday, but maybe you drop by on Saturday and you think, oh gosh, I'm kind of concerned. I think you'd want the peace of mind to know that at that point you could pick up the phone and speak with a real individual who is familiar with your loved one and can hopefully address your concerns, share what's going on with them. And if necessary, jump in the car and come over and see what's going on. I mean, that's the level of service that we offer. And if, someone is taking care of a loved one of mine, I'd want to know I had that support too. So that's what I would encourage. Do your research and find out that the company is really going to be there for the family as well as the client.
Yeah.
That's great to hear. Margot, as our last question, and of course the easiest, is how the consumers watching today can get in touch with you. We know that they can always check your BBB profile on on bbb.org for Shylo Home Healthcare. But how else can they connect with the Shylo team?
Well, I mean, a lot of people do Google today, so you can certainly Google Shylo Home Healthcare and go to our link, our website, shilohomehealthcare.ca. Again, we're a proud local Canadian company, so we are a .ca, not a .com. Or pick up the phone. We're reachable 24/7. I mean, we prefer that obviously all non-emergency calls are Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. Just because we are available 24/7 doesn't mean we necessarily appreciate getting phone calls at 11 o'clock at night, but if it is a client or staff in need, we're there for them. So call us, email us, text us. All the numbers, all the information is on our website, which you can get through the BBB.
Awesome. Thank you, Margot. And just like that, we have come to the end of our 9th episode in our BBB Trust Talk series. See? Quick and painless.
Wow, that time flew, didn't it?
It was an absolute pleasure connecting with Margot today, representing Shylo Home Healthcare in North Vancouver. We appreciate you sharing your valuable insight into how businesses like yours take care of our loved ones and how important it is to run any business from a basis of trust. To our viewers, we hope you will join us again tomorrow, which is Wednesday, October 28th at noon for our 10th and penultimate episode. Take care, and we will see you then.
Thanks so much, ladies. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.